Welcome. This podcast is an exploration into being human and what's possible when there's less attention on the noise in our heads. Warning: while listening to this broadcast, you may experience moments of deep peace, sighs of relief, personal insights, or long stretches of dead air. Do not be afraid. This is normal. Under the Noise with Wyn Morgan and Kate Roberts.
Welcome to Under the Noise. I'm Kate Roberts. I'm here with my co-host, Wyn Morgan. Hi, Wyn.
Hi, Kate.
And today we are here with Kristy. Hi, Kristy.
Hello.
Thanks for being with us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
One of our favorite things when we have someone on the show is that we love to start with asking the guest what you would like the audience to know about you right now. So rather than your typical go back into your all your accomplishments and all of that, we like to put it to our guests to see what you would like our listeners to know about you right now.
I guess just the first thing that came up when you said that was that I'm a changed person, but still the same, but very different just in the last few years. And yeah, I somehow slowed down and opened up all at the same time. And I love that you said beyond all the stuff we've done and the regular things about us, because yeah, there's something deeper there. And it's fun to be here with Wyn, because he's one of the few people that had a front row seat for the slowing down and opening up and trying to think of the word, but just freedom is another word that comes to mind. Just living in complete freedom and realizing it was probably there the whole time. I just didn't know it. But yeah, and then just the love of kind of sharing that and being that with people. And it doesn't matter who or where or when, but just kind of through being in that freedom, sharing that freedom.
How did that change happen for you?
You know, it feels like it was a long process, and then it feels like it happened all at once. It's at the same time. It was seeing something different about what it means to live, and kind of working my way through seeing through all the things that we're taught. And, you know, you're supposed to grow up and go to college, you know, maybe start a family and have 2.5 kids and get a job and a house and whatever vehicle fits the persona that is you, and, you know, work your butt off and then retire. And hopefully if your knees still work, you can have some fun then. And that was the first step for me, I think. Was remarkably, it was health problems and injuries that kept me from feeling like I could perform my best at my current job. And knowing I had this dream of what would happen when I retired. And then suddenly life looked like it might be shorter than I thought. And I was like, why wait till then? And that was the first inkling. And then that started the ball rolling and the journey. And then somehow I tripped into this whole different way of seeing life in the midst of that, which it was like divine, perfect timing. And then everything just started to unravel.
There are maybe quite a few people who don't know the origin story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the job that you had and what you were up to in your life when you had those health issues, and then when you started seeing things differently.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could tell us a bit more about that time.
Yeah. So I was a firefighter and paramedic. And at the time, the last 6 years of my career, I was a station officer, which means I was in charge of a fire station and making all the decisions when you go on the calls and at the emergencies. And it was the career of my dreams. I had done it for 14 years and truly loved it. Like, I don't think there was a day in 14 years where I was like, oh God, I need to find another job. There wasn't any of those. Even when I was sick and injured and things got tough, I loved the combination of just showing up every day to help people. And you had no idea what that even meant when you got there. And then the physicalness of it. I love being tired at the end of the day. And then the adrenaline of part of it. Like, I love like living on the edge sometimes and actually getting paid for it. You know, like I loved all that. And yeah. And then things happened. And one of my sayings I one day just thought was like, I love this job and it might kill me, you know? And yeah, so that was the origin story. And what's interesting is coaching came in and I didn't even know what a coach did. It was like something just like dropped a cloud on me somewhere and said, hey, why don't you check this out? And I'm like, okay. And I had no idea what coaching meant. I'd never been coached. I hadn't really ever talked to one that I know of. But something inside me said, go do this. This sounds like a fun side gig. And so several years before I actually left the fire department, I had dabbled in and went to school and started this new venture of coaching. And so when everything kind of came to a head, it was like the perfect, maybe I'll try some more of this and less of that. And then that began the transition out of the career of being a firefighter and into coaching. And then at the same time, I had this wild dream of, that's when I got sick and I was thinking, why wait till I'm retired to travel? And then that came, all this kind of started happening at the same time. And then that idea popped up of, why don't I just do that now? And now, in my eyes, like, why don't I start doing that now? But it would take 5 or 10 years to get to that point to where I could, leave everything and travel. And so that's when the crazy dream came up of living this lifestyle of wandering and traveling and living in a Airstream trailer. And then there was a point where I was just like, wow, this all makes sense. And I didn't plan it, like this newfound love of being with people and having conversations, I can do that from anywhere. My health, it feels like it's ushering me out the door of this career that I've loved for 14 years. And then I have this crazy dream that really fits well with all of it. And so that's the origin story. And here we are. And that all happened 2014, 15. Like, that was when all that was going on. It might have even started in 13. I don't really remember, but it was all in that time period. And the summer of 15 was when I had the big aha, like, oh, I can do this. I can figure out how to actually run my own business. I can leave the fire department and I can travel the world or travel to North America in a trailer. in that summer, it was June of 15 that I put it down on paper, and I still have it. This backwards, looking back, it's like the goals, but starting from the end and like looking back to present day. And my goal was by the end of 2020 to be coaching full time and living on the road. And it happened a lot sooner than I ever could have imagined.
Has your adventure as you're traveling around and coaching, has that evolved in the last couple of years?
Oh yeah.
How has it?
There's less and less of me in it. Like, I thought years ago, I was, quote, coddiwompling, like traveling towards unknown destinations. And it really wasn't up to me. And I thought that's what I was doing. And I really was in a way. But now it feels like every day I have no idea what's going to happen. And that's in living, in having conversations and meeting people, in coaching, in everything. Like one example is yesterday morning. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, like wide awake. It was one of those, like I rolled over, tried to go to sleep, and I was like, I think my body says get up. And I'd just gotten to where I'm at, and I'm on this beautiful, humongous lake in a national park, and my campsite is not far from the lake. It was a short walk. So here I am, 5 a.m. What do you do? I was like, well, all my stuff's still on my truck, my kayak, everything's packed. But I could just get up and go for a paddle and watch the sunrise. So I got up and, I just made tea and put it in a thermos and like grabbed a granola bar, went out and took everything off my truck with a flashlight on, and like stumbled through the woods, hauling my kayak down to the lake, put it in. And I'm thinking, I literally brought like a cup's worth of tea and a thermos and one granola bar for breakfast. And I thought I would be out there for maybe an hour. And I got out and just paddled before the sun rose, well before, and was there for the sun to rise. And I didn't know where I was going. I didn't care. Like, I didn't even think about like, where am I going? I just paddled wherever it took me. I saw a bird, I paddled there. Like, I looked like I could see the clouds better. I paddled there. And then after the sun was up, I looked at the GPS on my phone. I was like, wow, I've been a long ways. And then there's the mainland of this national park, which you only can get to by water. And I was only like 1.9 miles from there. And I thought, I never guessed I would go that far, but I could just go. So I paddled there. And where I ended up on the island was a trailhead. And thank goodness I had service. I looked and I'm like, where's this trail go? And I went up and over hills several miles to this lake in the center of this island. So I said, I'll hike. And I was wearing sandals because remember, I just went to the kayak for an hour and wasn't dressed for hiking at all. But I thought, who cares? So I went on this 4.5 mile hike on this island, and it was just beautiful fall colors. And I come back and there's this horrible wind. Not that it's the wind's fault, but it just felt really like it was right in the direction I needed to go. And I'm using the compass on my phone. Thank goodness I had service, like I said, because I would have had no idea where to even paddle. That's how lost I was there. And so I just found the kind of direction I needed to go and just started paddling. And it took me about an hour and a half to get back to the spot where I put my kayak in. And I got back to my trailer and it was like well after 12, like 12:30. And I'm starving because all I've had is a cup of tea and a granola bar. And it was beautiful because I got back and the experience I had and what I saw, and it was just fun. I'm like, I had no idea I was going to do that today. It wasn't like the day before I'd planned any of this. I mean, I assumed I did get my kayak out eventually, but that's a normal day. Is really just, it's not like, I feel like I'm just along for the ride of life. And by the evening, I met some beautiful people that were camped next to me. We sat by the fire last night and chatted until, I don't know, 10:30 or so. And complete strangers were now, great friends. And we had so much in common. And then I went to bed. Like that never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined you could live life like that. And now every day isn't that adventurous, but that's how it goes. And then I just string a bunch of those together.
Now, in my mind, in listening to your story, how beautiful yesterday was and how unfolding it was with no plan, and then all these wonderful surprises occurred, it would be quite easy to listen to you and to think, well, that's just how Kristy is. She's an adventure person. She just wouldn't have it in her mind that that structure and destinations matter, and life doesn't need a plan and stuff. But I know you. So how would you answer that question? So like, well, it's okay for you to do that. What about the rest of us who aren't made the same way as you?
Yeah. We are made the same. And if I would have heard that story, I don't know, 5 years ago, I would have said, wow, that sounds really cool. But I could never, like, how would I ever do that? Like, it would have been totally out of question, out of possibility for me. It would have sounded amazing. I would have said, yeah, I want to do that, but there's no way. And what's interesting is, so I told you like a natural adventure story. It just happened to be what happened yesterday. But the same happens in, quote, work and relationships and everything. You don't have to love to kayak to live like this. Like, you can do it from the comfort of your couch or your desk or anywhere you happen to be. But I didn't know that 5 years ago. And I don't feel like I fully know it now. Like, I feel like the glimpses are strong and heavy and more often, but I still have to every once in a while be like, oh no, you can really live this way. Like, you can still get work done. You can still meet up for podcasts and work a 9 to 5 and still live like this. Like, we're all the same.
The part of that anyone doubted or might be suspicious of, well, that's just how you are, that's how you're wired, is what you just said about, well, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have thought I'd live like this. I'd have thought that wouldn't be possible. I'd have thought that was someone else's life. So a question that I'd love to hear your thoughts on is, what have you seen about life and how it works that supports your total unknowing and basking in it, as opposed to be worried about it?
That's $1 million question, and I have trouble answering it.
Plus, I keep my $1 million then, right?
I'll try my best. The first part is, I really don't know. It's hard to put words to it. It really is. And sometimes I get choked up a bit saying, I don't know how I came to know whatever this is that I'm trying to tell you about, but can't really describe. Like, it wasn't up to me. I don't know. And at the same time, it feels like life is it's like a big long chain of Christmas gifts, like, that goes on forever. And like, And whether you celebrate Christmas or it's birthdays or whatever, but we all know what it feels like to have a gift and it sit either under a tree or on the mantle or in the corner, and it's tied up with a bow, and we're kind of giddy because we wonder what's inside, but we don't know really what it is. And at the same time, it almost doesn't matter. It's just fun opening presents, you know, and we can wish for what's inside, but we know it's really not that up to us on what's inside. And life is a string of those. Like every moment is a gift in a box, and we get to open it with the same kind of childlike, I wonder what's next. And we open the box, and though sometimes it's a pair of socks, and we're like, oh, cool. All right. You know, and sometimes it's exactly what we wished for. And we're like, yes, someone was listening. And then sometimes it blows our doors off. We're like, I had no idea this was even on offer, that like, I wouldn't even have wished for this, but oh my gosh, thank you to the gift giver, you know, like, I'll take plenty more of these. Keep surprising me. And sometimes what's in the box, like, will bring tears to your eyes because it's so sad, you know, but it's like, even that's a gift in a way. So, but life is that. And I don't get to choose what's in the box. I can either sit there and be worried about what's inside. But who does that? Like, who does that? Who has a gift in the corner and we're biting our nails and like stress out about what's in the box? Like, we don't normally do that. There's a quiet anticipation or a giddy waiting. And what if we could live life like that? And that's how I see it. Like, that's the best. I don't say it's the best, but that's one of the ways I can put words around it, is just open the box. And then know that there's a chain of them that go on forever. You're going to keep getting them. And it's just open the box and see what's inside. It's not up to me. But the other side of that is, like, we all know how it would feel if on the holidays we sat there and we stressed out about what was in every box. It wouldn't be any fun. Like, it just wouldn't be the same. But it can be different.
You know, one way of putting things in a box as opposed to opening them, of a couple of things that I've heard you say in the last few minutes, would be, live my life and open the box. It's an awesome simplicity to consider.
Yeah.
Literally awesome. Full of awe.
You know what I loved about what you said was how you can seem to have the same feeling about the box, even if it brings something that maybe doesn't feel that good.
Yeah.
That might be sad and might be life showing up in a way that not only did you not anticipate, but most people would see it as not a great thing to get in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think I spent a long time in my life trying to control experience, not wanting it to show up in that way, and thinking I had some kind of control over that. And it's only seeing that I don't need to do that, and being willing to let go and open up boxes like that and experience all of life, and that's very new for me as well. But when you don't need to control it, you can just have all kinds of experiences, knowing that you're going to be okay no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Full disclosure from Mr. Morgan for a second, right? You know, it's funny in listening to you for the last few minutes, and I've gone, wow, I think I should get something off my chest here. There are times I receive emails, and I'm too afraid to open them. It's like, you know, saying, who looks at a box with a gift and doesn't open them? I said, well, I was going, me. And I do that with physical mail through the door. I've been known to check if a parcel has a ticking sound to it, right? To see, well, would anybody send me an incendiary device? You know, knowing that no one really would. But exactly to what Kate was saying, I sometimes fall under the illusion that my life will matter depending upon what's in the box. And I forget that I will always get over what's in the box. Even if it is the bad news that I don't want. Even if it is, this bill says how much? Or even if it's this email saying, yeah, not successful this time, we've gone with another provider. It's funny that I constantly forget. Disappointment sometimes happens. And I forget I always get over it. That I might go out at 5 a.m. in a kayak and as soon as dawn comes, be bitten to bits by the national bird of Minnesota, the dearly beloved mosquito, and have welts on me for the next 5 days to a week. And I forget I get over it.
Yeah.
And the number of times that I look back at my life and the things that the opportunities and the things, I don't know if I'd call them risks, but the chances that were there that I never took because I didn't know I'd get over things. I didn't know that I was okay regardless, that my feelings would change, that there would be a different gift in the next moment, certainly in the next day, that would be totally different. So that's my confessional. Now rest easy.
I loved it, Wyn. You know, because both of what you shared, it reminded me of, you know, how different I also react to things, like really, quote, horrible things. And it's got this air of, oh, that's what's happening today. You know, like I wouldn't have wished this. I wouldn't wish this on Miami, but that's what's happening. You know, it's that feeling. You know, like, and in my health, like in the last few months, like some stuff has come up. And one of my friends who we've had lots of discussions about health with is like, you seem to be really like okay with this. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like you have a nice car and you come out of the grocery store and the carts hit it and there's a dent. And you're like, oh man. All right. And you get in, like, what are you going to do? You get in, you drive off with your scratch on your bumper or wherever it is, you know, like you could be pissed off about it and it affect the rest of your day. Or you can be like, all right, what's next? Keep on rolling. Like it's that feeling. And again, that to me, a few years ago would have sounded foreign.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay. Yeah, of course but I feel like I'm in that mindset of, oh, that's what's happening. All right. Okay. Like there's more space for ideas to come up. There's more space for living. There's more space for having the analytical problem solver like come to life and be like, oh, we can do this or try that. But there's a different feel to it. There's not like, we must do this. We must fix this now. We must figure this out. There's not that feel to it. They're like, oh, it's more of like, oh, okay, this is what's happening. Huh. Maybe I'll try this. Because there's a lightness to it, you know? Then it comes back to the box thing. It's like, oh, I wonder what's going to be in the next box. The next box could be a fabulous idea. It could be some more bad news. I don't know. But I'm not going to sit here and worry about it. Like, that's the thing. For me, regret and worry have just dropped away totally until I forget. And sometimes I'll find myself for a moment and be like, what am I thinking? And then I'll go right back to like being out of it again.
Yeah.
But I used to be full of regret and full of worry. And now it's like, it's gone.
Yeah, well, that in itself, that's a huge gift. When that falls away, when that grips us less, and yeah.
Kristy, what do you attribute that to?
What do you mean?
You're seeing this in such a different way that you're able to hold that space lighter. Like if you could attribute it to one thing, what would it be?
Well, that's a tiny little question. Good one, Kate. Wow.
Trump's the $1 million question. That's
Oh man, it's so hard to put in words. It's something around, like, I know what started it. And I don't know, I can't describe all the unfolding. But what started it was having a flash of seeing that absolutely everything is wisdom. And you can put other words around that. You could say God, you could say infinite knowing, you could say, I don't even know, you could throw a bunch of words around it for anyone that's wondering what that means. But I really saw that every quote, bad decision that I ever made in life was perfect. It's impossible to make a air quote bad decision. Every time my thoughts ran away with myself and I got into a dark spot, it was perfect. I can't get it wrong, and no one else can either. That's it. Like, that's the freedom. That's no regret and no worry, because what is there to regret if it was all perfect? And people will hear this and say, oh, well, the love of my life getting cancer isn't perfect. And I'll be like, yeah, that's not perfect. But it's a part of a perfect unfolding that we can't fully see from our seats right here, right now, today. But there was a glimpse of, if we were able, from our little seats in life that we all live in, if we were somehow to be able to like shoot up and see see like the whole symphony of life, like from forever until forever. And we can see like that one little note or two that is our life or our loved ones' lives. And we can see how it fit into this grand symphony. We'd be like, okay, like it doesn't seem perfect, but it's the perfect unfolding. And that glimpse, that is all it took to just be like, okay, I can just live. I can open each box, each moment. And then I'm human and I forget. But I know, but even in the forgetting, like there's this part of me that knows so deeply that even when I'm caught up and I've forgotten all this that I've said, because there's moments when I do, like there's this weird undercurrent that knows I'll remember. And then I'll snap out of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, well, that was a crappy few days. What was I thinking? And then it's like, then I'm back to here, you know? So there, I think it's that. Hopefully that all came across.
I do want to bring up the word that you created. So, quick little bit of personal disclosure again. You were talking about this word, Coddiwomple, and you even brought out some T-shirts in various colors, in a few designs, with two different definitions of what it means.
Yeah.
Now, I bought two of those T-shirts, not realizing you'd made it up. I literally thought that that was a real thing, that if I looked up that word, I'd find it. I didn't know that you'd made it up. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, full disclosure, I didn't actually make up the word. I just defined it. So the moment I saw that word, I can tell you exactly where I was sitting in bed. Like my heart jumped when I saw this word Coddiwomple. And it's one of those unexplainable things that I was just like, this, yes. Like, and I had no idea what that word would do for me the rest of my life, but I knew it was special. And when I saw it, it was in relation to travel, like going on holiday or taking a hike. And I forget the definition that was on what I saw, but it was something about traveling towards destinations unknown. Like it's a happy camper thing, you know, like, oh, I can't wait to go out on this hike to destinations unknown. But when I saw it, it was my first tiny little glimpse of, wait, no, this is much bigger than going on a hike or taking a 3-day holiday and not having a destination. But that word grew. That was in January of 17. And the reason it hit me was because I was right in the midst of this crazy dream of hoping it came to reality, of living like this. And so when I hit the road, when I started living in a Coddiwomple, it was about travel. But the more I lived that way in travel and just heading out and not knowing where I'd end up, the more I saw that applied to every single part of life. And we all do it all the time and we just don't know it. So the definition, to kind of put it out there, it's just like a dictionary definition. There's 3 definitions. So the first definition is traveling purposefully towards unknown destinations. So it's like, I'm purposely living life. I'm purposely, fill in the blank, building a business or raising children, you name it. But I have no idea where I'm going to end up. And that's not up to me. Traveling purposely towards unknown destinations. Definition 2 is being open to limitless possibilities. So it's weird, but it's like it's not having goals. It's having goals, but they're really soft, like really out there, just very touchy, you know. They're not like, I want to, and you fill in the blank. It's because to me, what it looks like is when you do that, you limit yourself. You limit yourself just one little slice of the pie, and you're not open to all the possibilities all around you. So it's being open to unlimited possibilities. Like literally anything can happen, and I'm really okay with it. And then the third definition is unpredicting your journey, because we all predict our journeys. And then to me, that's what causes the biggest amount of strife in life, is we think we know what's supposed to happen. And when it doesn't, we get pissed. And so it's it's blowing the cap off of that. It's saying, you know, I have no idea what's supposed to happen. I don't know. I want to live a long, happy life. It would be cool to be 90 and carefree. But hey, tomorrow could be my last day. It's in everything in between. It could be like, oh, I really wanted to buy this house and it fell through. Okay. Like nothing to be upset about. It's just what I thought was going to happen isn't. You know, so it's unpredicting our entire journey, and just being, again, they're all related, being open to limitless possibilities and traveling purposely on this journey of life, but having no idea where we'll end up and what's going to happen and what they'll be at any point in time. And that's the Coddiwomple. And that word has changed so much. It changes all the time. And it's cool because it gets more free and more free and more free. The more I live in it and the more I see it differently, it just opens up. Like it's its own definition. Like there really are unlimited possibilities. And what's fun is what I tell people all the time is people are like, I want to learn to Coddiwomple or whatever. You know, they come to me for that. And I'm like, little secret, you've been doing it your whole life. You just don't know it. Like there's so much stuff on top of it. You don't realize we're all Coddiwomplers. That's all we've been ever doing. So it's living life without all the chatter and the, negative stuff. It's just it's the same life, just with a different feel. So hopefully that was kind of what you're asking about.
Stunning. Stunning. Well, Kristy, it's been a joy as always to talk with you and to listen. And I'm sure that our listeners and those of you listening right now has loved what you've shared today. And your contact details are included in the platform that you're listening to this on, where you found this link. It's all there and below if you're watching on YouTube. And from Kate and myself, thanks so much for being here today and sharing everything that you've shared.
Thanks, Kristy.
Thank you, guys. Really beautiful questions, beautiful exploration. Thank you so much.
And if you've got more questions for Kate and myself, our own contact information is below and at the end of this recording. I will look forward to being with you again soon. Goodbye.
Thanks for joining us. We'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and review. If you have a topic or question that you'd like us to chat about, email Wyn or Kate at wyn@winning.co.uk and Kate at katerobertscoaching.com. Until then, enjoy what's possible under the noise.